Okay, are we ready for this week's project? I'm sure you are. Even if you're not, here we go. So we have, I have those churches that I made. I wanted to do something to complement that, to go along with it. So I'm going to go ahead and make a rustic home that can be placed next to that church in the same setup. So I need to pull out one of the churches so that I can get the correct height of it and all of that. And I want to make the house kind of fit in with the church. So here we go. Let's get started. Okay, so here we have the church right here. Let's stick this over here. Here's the boards, a similar type board that we used to create this church. So I think what I want to do is I'm going to just cut this. And with the church, I wanted all the same kind of size pieces so I can put them all together as I wanted. That's why these were cut in half. I think with the house, though, I'm going to leave it as is, and then I'm just going to cut the roof line into the home here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add a window here, add a window here, and we're going to add a doorway right here. And then we'll go ahead and put like the shingle pieces on it, like up here. And we're going to cut out framework for the window, window, and door to put on top. So let's go ahead and get this going, and I'll be right back with a cut piece of wood. What I'm going to do is I'm checking to see here. I have the whole church is what, 9.5? Yeah, whole church is 9.5 inches tall. I don't want the house to be that tall. I'm not sure if I want the house just to be this size or if I think I want a double story on it. So the house may end up being, let's see, that's 6 inches to that peak. So if I go 7.5, I think we'll be okay. What I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and mark out at 7.5, and then we'll cut it and we'll see where things land here once we do this. I'm not sure once it's cut how this is going to end up looking. We'll go there. This looks like this. Oh, that's level. Okay. It feels wrong, but it does measure out right. All right, let me go ahead and cut this and put a piece on it. I cut these at a 32 degree angle up here. I didn't want a full 45 on it. I was kind of hoping to save both of the pieces that came off of here, but because there is a knot here, this one broke. So I lost the ability to make a little pine tree. So I may make a smaller one. I may just fake it and find a way. I would glue this together, but the piece shot somewhere and it's gone. It's missing. So I'll take a look and see if I can find it. If not, I'll cut something out of something else. All right, what I did next is I went and I took, this is a thinner piece of fence post. This is the one, and I keep having problems with this one. I've been called out on it a couple of times. This looks like it's a 1/4 inch, 5/8 of an inch, somewhere in that range. And it's just a fence picket that a neighbor was throwing away. You can see the holes where the nails were. So what I did is I went to my bandsaw and I resawed this little piece off here. I don't know if that's what you want to call it. I ripped this piece off. So I ripped this off. I'm going to make several of these, and this is going to be for the door. So this is going to go like this, and then there's going to be each of these, so it looks like door parts, door planks on there. Then I'm going to take this, and I want to measure this and get a measurement for the windows. How big do I want a window on here? I'm going to measure on here and see these now. These church windows are thinner and taller than most home windows. So, but I'm going to go close to that. I'm going to stick close to what the church window is, just so I get some sort of scale here. And I think what I'm going to come up with is maybe a 3/4 of an inch on this. So let's move my little measurement over to 3/4 right there. Perfect. All right. So now I have my window width. It's going to go right here. That's all the wider my windows are going to be on this. I'm going to keep them somewhat narrow, and I'll look at them once I put them on here and see if I feel they need to be bigger, because already looking at this, I feel like it needs to go a little wider. The other thing is I may cut this down, because if you'll notice, I also have this a lot wider than the church. So yes, I do believe I'm going to narrow this down first, then I'll see what my windows look like. So I shall return. All right, so I narrowed it down, and I feel like if we put these side by side, I feel like that is a better scale. Keep in mind that this one's going to go up, but just, well, maybe not, because I did find the piece, by the way. Found it, got it all glued back together, so I'm real happy about that. I do have to narrow this up. This tree looks too wide at the bottom, but that's okay. I'll get that straightened out, and we'll have a pine tree on one of the corners here. So there are my door pieces. I think my windows are going to look good. I have these cutoffs that I made. I'm trying to decide if I want to put like a little bit of a porch on this, maybe. So it looks like there's a porch as well. But that's last. I'm getting ahead of myself here. I don't want to go too far ahead here. So let me go ahead. I want to cut more. I want to cut my windows out that I did here. There we go. We're going to have two windows. That's the size they're going to be. One will go there. One will go here. And then a doorway will be right in here using these. So I need to cut out more of this. So I have some planks for here, for the door. Got to cut this out. And then we'll go into the fun part of sanding, rounding things off, putting it together. If we're going to, I think what I'm going to do is take and brush some white paint on here to give it a little bit of a look, you know, that peeling paint look that you get, similar to what I did on the church here with the white. I'm going to do the same thing here, some dry brush. So I shall be right back. As I normally do, I like to do several of these. When I'm doing one, I might as well do a couple, because I've already got jigs set up and I've got angles set up. So I'm making a total of 3 of these. So I have the three houses. I hope I have enough of this for the doors. If not, this was an easy cut, no problem. I have all the windows. I've shaved them down so they're a little thinner. I've got my orbital sander, so I'm ready to go to sand with that. I also went and made the roof tops, like so. Again, they need sanded, and then I'm going to need to cut an angle here or sand an angle here so that these two fit together at the top with a little bit of an overhang here. I've got trees for each, so they're ready to go. And so now I think it's just down to first sanding all the parts, getting all these, as you can see, there's some rough edges from the cutting. We're going to get that all sanded away, and we're going to make this look really nice. Not super nice. We do want it rustic. Once I get all of this put together, I'll start gluing all these down, making sure I have enough for doors, and then we'll pull out the paint and the finish. So here we go. Before I started to sand, what I should have done was to get these pieces cut to length for the roof, so I can get those sanded as well, because now I've got to, I mean, it's no big deal. It's just, usually I like to try to do everything all at the same time. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to measure these pieces here to figure out where we need to be. So I'm going to go just a little bit over on the top, so that I can go ahead and make a nice straight line up here where that's going to be done. And same here, I'm going to do this. So I can cut these at this angle, and I'm just going to go over and cut those on my bandsaw so that those angles in between here and here. And all I need to do is just cut all of these to the same. Not going to be able to see that. Let's see here. Let's go over so we can see what that looks like on the other side. And so that will then go there, and we'll have the same overhang here, and this will meet up at the top there. So let me go ahead and get these pieces cut. I need 6 of them. I think I can do that from here. The other piece I'm going to need to cut, and I'll do these, actually I'll wait. I'll do these last. Those can be done and added to this after everything else is complete. So be right back. All right, I've got them all cut. So I have 6 of those. Those are ready to go, and they will they'll fit together on here like so. And you can see that I've got a gap at the top, so I may need to do some sanding once it comes down to it to get them so they fit together better. Not super concerned, but there it is. And I don't have a huge overhang, but just enough to indicate that we have an overhang. So, all right, let me get to sanding. All right, I've got all of these where they're cut, and they're fairly close to being good up here. I'm happy with it. It's close enough for me. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to glue the rooftops on. That way those can start to dry, and then I can go ahead and put my windows in. I'm going to just go ahead and get the glue right on here. Just get it in there. This is like end grain. It's open. It's I don't know how well this is going to hold. Everybody always says, hey, end grain is very difficult to glue to, but you know, I don't know that I've ever had that huge of an issue with it. It seems like it holds well. I'm not putting any brad nails in on this one. This is just going to be all just straight gluing on here. I'm probably not even going to use clamps because no, I'm just not even going to do clamps. Don't even worry about it. I know some of you out there are probably thinking, Ed, clamps, you got to do some clamps, but I don't have to. I'm not going to. You're more than welcome to do clamps if you wish. But I'm going to go ahead and get that right on like that. I want it nice and flat so it's on a flat table. That way I have my little bit of an overhang there. So I'm going to slide that over to the side. I'm going to move the next one in. Get a little bit of glue up there at the top of it, and then push those together. And again, we have another one ready to go, and no clamps. And I promise you, it's going to hold. It'll be good enough. We're not putting any huge pressure on these things. This isn't going to be something that's like furniture. I don't want to scoop that up. So this isn't going to be something that's like furniture where it needs to have some sort of weight on it, or it's going to be used. There's going to be some sort of forces on it that are going to push it and cause it to break. We have none of that here. We just have a simple outline of a home, a house, and we just put a roof with some eaves on it. So now let me get the windows positioned. I'm going to, let me move that down a little. I'm going to roughly have these windows where you see them here. However, before I glue them into place, I think it's going to be a good idea to dry brush some of the white on here that I want so that it looks like a weathered white painted house. Now, one thing that I'm noticing as I'm doing this right now, and I'm kind of upset at myself for doing it this way, however, the piece of wood lended itself to go in this direction. Had I gone this direction, these here would have been like this, and that would have been more like a traditional wood siding on one of these type of houses. So I kind of messed up there, but I'm not going back. This is where we are, and this is the way I'm going to do it. So I got my white paint. All we're using, this thing's seen some better days here, but there it is. Just your regular old white paint. It's acrylic. You can get this anywhere. I think I got this on Amazon. There's all sorts of stores you can get it at, and I'm sure you all know that. So what I'm going to do is do some light. I really didn't want it up there, and you can see that that's not dry yet. So just want a little bit of a dry brush, and all I'm doing, just so you can see, is making things fall apart. See, and I said I don't need to worry about any clamping, but so let's do this one dead center in the middle. I don't have to lift it up to show you anything. Okay, so I dip my brush in there just a little bit, get it on the ends, and then I'm going to just do this and brush it right back off, and then just a light wipe. That's all I'm doing, just super light, and that's going to give you that dry brush look that you're looking for, to make it look like there's paint on the house that's chipped off. That these used to be white, they aren't anymore. Super nice thing about this is, if you mess this up, you don't worry about it, because there's a thing called sandpaper, and you can take it all off with your sandpaper. So I'm going to go ahead and get these in here, and you can see where you put your brush down, you get a little bit of a brighter spot. So what I'll do here is probably just dip my brush in a little bit of water and get that going, so that I get it like that. Then I will take this and wipe it all down. And that's going to give me a much nicer, much smoother look to it right there, just like so. So I'm pretty happy with that one. I'm going to try something different with this one. We'll see what happens. We'll see if we like it, or we'll see if we need to do some sanding. So I'm going to try this one going across this way and see what happens. And I'm not too bad. I'm kind of okay with that. Let's see how it looks. I'm going to take this and wipe it a little bit and knock everything off. So I'm very happy with how those look. Now I'm going to go ahead and we're going to put the windows in. This is a lot easier than doing it on your house. Sorry, dad joke central there. Just make sure I get enough glue on here to go down into those little cracks. Now I want it centered top to, like, not top to bottom, centered side to side. So that's going to go like right in there. So I'm just going to do each of them so I get that. I want to make sure that it's straight up and down, parallel on the sides. But once again, we're going to come down to this as a rustic piece. If it is a little bit off center, if it's a little crooked, it's going to be okay. It is going to be character. Just remember that. It is character that you're adding to this piece. Okay, we're going to put the lower doors on. Lower windows on. And these, I ended up deciding, and I think you saw it earlier, is I'm going to line these up so the tops of these line up with the top of the door. So we'll get this in here and position it right about so. I think that's going to do the trick for us. I think that's going to look about the right height. I want to make sure that we are parallel to the side. Again, not perfect, but it's okay. And then we'll get this one in next. And again, right about so, just like that. And one more window to go. And we have this, all the windows are in, the roof is on. All we have left is the doorway. And then I have to decide, do I want to put that roof on it that I was talking about? But we got to let this all dry before we can do that. I can go ahead and put the doors in, and I'm going to get those cut and ready to go, and we'll do that next. So just in case you want to see how I am creating each of these doors, I'm just going to go ahead and take these little pieces like this. I'm putting them together so that they're even, like so. I'm going to make a little mark so I know that I get it even. And then I'm just taking my little Japanese saw here, and it does a real nice job of just giving me a nice cut. And it gives me all of them cut out together. And I thought I had enough of all of them. I do not. I need one more. So there you can see there's two of the doors. That's how they're going to look. I'm just going to take those 3 pieces. More than likely, what I'm going to also do is take one of these and put at the bottom to give it a little bit of a stoop. I'll cut that out last once I get these pieces, all 3 of these done, and then I'll give us a little bit of a stoop to step out onto. All right, hopefully you can see these doors. What I've done, let's slide this just over just a little bit. So I've got the doors in place. They are not glued down yet, so they're not sanded. None of that stuff has happened yet. But I do have the little bit of a step that I've put in there. So that's ready to go. I will then have, I'm still deciding on that front porch. And then I've got the tree that we're going to put on it, and that may go just behind it. And then we'll have possibly, if I can find the pieces, hang on. All right, so, oops. So we've got these, and I'm going to put these on either side, probably. And then with an overhang here, and then a base down across the bottom that this is going to sit into. So it'll probably look like this, with these going on the sides like this, and then a bit of a roof coming down over top of it, just to give it a really cool, unique look. All right, so that you can see what I'm doing here is I'm just taking each of these little pieces. This is 150 grit sandpaper. All I'm doing is getting off the burrs, kind of straightening up the edges, rounding things over. It's nice. I'm sure you noticed on the windows I rounded those things over just to give them like a worn look, and that's really what I'm trying to do here, is give this all just an old, rustic, worn out look. Seems to be something popular today, so let's go with it. And I do love the look of it, so that's why, bigger reason why I'm doing it. All right, so that's going to be like so, just like that. So that'll give you an idea of how these doors go on. And then I've got little carpet nails that I'm going to use as the doorknobs. I'll pound those in at the end. That'll be kind of the last thing I do. So here we have, I've removed all the stuff for the doors, and I decided that I am going to go ahead and try to put a porch on these things. I just think it's going to look really cool. So what I did is I cut some pieces, some spare pieces of that fence post, and I'm going to go ahead and put them right like this, so that they're here. That's also going to give us a little bit of help with this standing. I want to, I am going to go ahead and brad nail this into place once I put it on, because I do want that to be sturdy. So let me go ahead. We'll go ahead and get that. I need to get these little pieces out of my way so I don't drop them down the little holes there. All right, so we will go ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and put some of my glue here, which you can't see because I was off camera. So I put some glue right along the bottom here, and then we're going to put that right into place there, and we want it centered so it sticks out. If it sticks out, it's going to stick out evenly on both sides. And then I'm going to take my brad nailer, and I'm going to hit the camera. I'm going to take my brad nailer and put this in here to give us some a nice base. So there, it's going to stand up now all by itself. So I think I like the way that's going to look. So we'll do that to all of these, and I'll be right back. All right, I really hope you guys are having fun. I know I'm having a blast putting these together. I'm really, I went off of a picture that I saw on Pinterest to come up with this design. And it really was just the outline of the house. It had windows like this, just plain, nothing on them, which I'm not going to do anything to those. Its door was the same. It was just a cutout block like that. It was painted with dry brush paint to make it look like it was old. It did not have a roof on it like this. It did not have a porch on it. And that's all it was. And it looked good. And the people, now whether that sells for this or not, but it was showing that it was selling for $35 on Etsy. Now, in my area, I don't think you'd get $35 for it. Even with me adding all these extra pieces on here, I don't think that's going to happen. But my key point here is I'm having a blast doing it, And that's the most important part of this whole process. So make sure you're all having fun. All right. I think it's time that we go ahead and let's glue all these little pieces down that we have. So we'll go ahead and the big reason I wanted to get this porch on here is so that this little piece here has a base to sit on to make it a little bit better. So we're going to go ahead and get that there. And I want to try to make sure, at least here, try to get it as close to the same so it doesn't look super stupid. But again, rustic, just remember rustic. It's okay if it's a little bit off. All right, so now it's just a matter of putting some glue on each of these things and putting them into place. So I'm just going to go ahead and get each one glued, get it positioned, then I'll make sure that I have it centered and all that. This is just the regular Titebond 2 glue, so it's not going to set really quickly for me. So I have a little bit of time to play around and get this centered up how I want it. I think it's looking good. Try to wipe off any of the excess that are sticking out on the sides. Tighten it up. I mean, there's going to be some cracks in between each of these boards like this, but that's all right. You just don't want huge gaps. You want it kind of lined up with that, with the base, the step going up in. And then I'm just going to wipe off any excess glue here. There we go. So there's our door on our first one. And we've got the porch there. And I've gone and I've cut these pieces to put as on the side for the porch railings. These will be the posts. Now, of course, it's not going to go up this high. I just have it here. I'm going to cut these at a little bit of an angle. Don't know what that is yet. And then I'm going to put a small piece of wood across that to give us our roof, our overhang. And it'll be about the same size as this. It'll stick out about the same distance as we have here. It's going to stick out that way. And these are pretty thin. Right here, I'm trying to decide. These may be just too bulky. I may want to cut these in half. So you can see I've got these posts done. I've thinned them up, and I think that looks a whole lot better. And all I did is I just cut them using this Japanese pull saw. And I did cut a little bit of an angle at the top. If you're going to ask me what that angle is, I just made it up, so I'm sorry. It's just how how I eyeballed it. If someone really wants to know that angle, let me know. I've got an angle finder kind of a device here, and I'll figure that out for you. And I think I got the wrong ones. I did. So all I'm doing is I'm just taking this, and when I said 150 grit on the last one, I think when I was sanding down these pieces here, it's actually 80. This is actually 80 grit sandpaper, but it's very, very well used 80 grit sandpaper. So I don't know, I don't know how sandpaper works. Does it, I assume that the grit will decrease as you use it. I can't imagine that it maintains its 80 grit status, so to speak. It's not quite the same as not as smooth as a 150, but it's going to do the trick on this. And it's really getting off all of these burrs. That's really all I want it to do, so that I can get these into place here and see how they look. And then I've got to figure out my roof. I want a roof up there, but I don't want something real thick. I don't want something bulky. I want it to look like a standard roof. All right, so I've got these on here. This one's a little bit thicker of a post, but I'm not going to concern myself much with it. Now I'm wondering, do I do this? That almost feels too thick. I need to find something thinner, like maybe this, but those aren't long enough. Let me see what I can do. Let me see what I can come up with as far as a thinner section. I may go cut this down some on these pieces to see what I can get. Be back. All right, so for some reason I lost the video on my mic. I don't know what happened. It is a new mic, and I may have just hit the wrong buttons. I just don't know. So I've gone ahead and I've got my roof pieces thinned down, and now what you see me doing here is I'm gluing up the posts that are going to go on the left and right of each of these houses to hold up the roof section that we've got. So just a little bit of that tight bond too, and I'm going to throw that on here and get these things glued into place. Of course, wipe off all of the excess glue, or at least as much as you can, so you have less to take care of when you're done and you're getting ready to put your finish on. So we'll go ahead and we'll get these pieces in right now. So here we have, I have the little piece of roof board that I've done, and I'm putting a little bit of glue on the tops of the posts. And then I'm going to put a little bit of glue across the back, more towards the bottom, because it's really just that bottom edge that's going to touch the top of the house. It just gives me less to have to wipe off. And then I'm just going to eyeball it, position it so that the left and right of it hangs off about the same. And there you have it. It's done. So I think this looks really good right here. So let's compare this thing to the church and see how they look together. You do see here that it does line up real nicely with that church. It doesn't look bad at all. I think the scale's good. So I'm very happy with how that turned out. So now let's take a look at these pine trees that we've got here. It looks like it's easy enough that we can put it right here behind, finding the right side, of course. And that doesn't look bad like that. However, I think what I'm going to do, and this just popped in my head while I was doing this, is I like the way these things look at the front of the porch. And it's just now, I'm going to pull that up and you'll see me do that. I think I like that look way better than I like the look of it behind it. I think it just makes the whole piece come together a little bit nicer and look like a finished product. So that's what I'll end up doing. So let's go ahead and get those trees on all of these. 3 houses, look at those, looking good. I'm going to probably brush a little bit of greenish paint on the trees, but other than that, doorknobs and we're done. Cool. All right, there it is. Hopefully you can see that. Let me turn this way. Ah, there we go. There's some light on it. So there we have it. All done. You can see that I have the doorknobs on there now, the trees on there. I have a roof. It's got the polyacrylic on it. It's complete. It's all done. I just need to go get some photos of it, and I think this one's going to be a nice keeper. Like I said, I've got 3 of them, and I don't doubt these are going to sell pretty quickly, especially paired with that church. They're going to go quick. All right, very good. Thank you guys so much for watching. Very much appreciated. Thanks so much for liking, subscribing, sharing, your comments, everything you do to help my channel. I seem to have hit my stride. There's quite a few new members joining every day, and I absolutely appreciate all of you that have taken the time to subscribe. It's very much appreciated. Until next week, we'll see you.